6:30. It's 6:30. I call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements, awards, special recognition. The first thing I'd like to mention is what you saw when you came into the City Council chambers tonight. In the lobby, we now have beautiful color graphics depicting the SPLOST manual, all the SPLOST projects that will be in the 2023 SPLOST list. We had a citizen committee earlier this year that exceeded all of our expectations. We've got a great list of projects, and it's our goal as a council to make sure every citizen in Peachtree City who wants information or who has questions about that project's list will be able to access that information. It's on our website. We've also posted these beautiful posters at Kedron, at the library, at the CVB, and at the tennis center. We also have a kiosk out here in the lobby, and we have a kiosk in the Peachtree City Police Department lobby. If you or an organization that you're familiar with, maybe an HOA or a church group, any group that you may have wants information about SPLOST 2023, then all you have to do is contact someone at City Hall, and we'll see what we can do to make that a reality.
Can I add that we're going to have presentations done at the American Legion Post 50 and with the Knights of Columbus at both the Assembly and at the council meetings.
Beautiful. So we're here for you if you want any information. It's available. Jasmine, do we have any other announcements, awards, or special recognitions? All right. At this time, it is my absolute pleasure to present the Mayor's State of the City Address. This is my second address. Last year, I gave this State of the City after 2 weeks on the job. So this time around, it feels a lot more comfortable. We certainly had a very interesting and unique and exciting 2022. City Council was new. We had 3 new people, and we pulled together and hunkered down, and we got a lot done. It was a very big year. Together, City Council worked to revitalize our city communication system. We successfully renegotiated the local option sales tax distribution with our county-wide partners. We unanimously passed a strong budget, and we remain vigilant on our goals related to traffic, recreation, redevelopment, and public safety. We've attracted new talent to our city government, and we continue to work to maintain Peachtree City's unique and quality lifestyle. First, communications. Right away last year, in January of 2022, we had a town hall meeting for the purpose of discussing city communications. I think we had 38 people in the room and more than 200 tuned in via Zoom. And we had a lot of good input and information and feedback from our citizens. Council's goal is to provide full transparency in what we do, with relevant and timely information for all the Peachtree City citizens who wish to be accurately informed. To accomplish this goal, we've developed a strong Peachtree City communications team led by our city clerk, Jasmine Julio, in the blue dress. We were delighted to bring on board this year Andre Walker a few months ago, a talented videographer who comes to us from CNN, no less, and Hannah Thomas, a talented graphic designer who did the posters that you see in this lobby. Our team is busy with an improved weekly e-newsletter, revitalized Facebook page, and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We intend to capture all of our audiences. Our citizens have responded enthusiastically with increased viewership and followers on social media. We're also in the process of redesigning our city website, and we will soon be able to release a new app for wayfinding that is unique to our city's path system. Through these communication channels, we now provide consistent updates on city events, projects, and meetings, as well as major city issues like local option sales tax, budget, SPLOST, and our comprehensive plan. First, local option sales tax. Local option sales tax negotiations happen once every 10 years following the U.S. Census. This is the time when, under state law, every county in the state must renegotiate their sales tax distributions with all of their municipalities. In January, Peachtree City Council started a very productive couple of meetings with our municipal partners, and soon we were in a position to meet with the county and come to an agreement in February. By the way, counties that do not come to an agreement or did not come to an agreement by December 31st lost their local option sales tax revenues, and in our case, that's 22% of our budget. We were gratified to come to a mutual agreement so expeditiously. It went very smoothly. And in fact, the Georgia Municipal Association thanked Peachtree City for our role in helping Fayette County become the first county in the state to finalize our lost distribution agreement. In August, City Council unanimously passed a very strong budget that included a 0 millage rate increase. We're holding at 6.043 mills. That kid's missing a shoe. Dude, you are awesome. 6.043 mills, even as we maintain our excellent service levels and retain and hire the most qualified professionals possible. Should SPLOST 2023 pass, Council's goal will be to budget 0 millage rate increase in the next 5 years. We stand at a $46 million annual budget. Our budget is posted in its entirety on our Peachtree City website. We've even added a professionally made video called How Are My Taxes Calculated? And it's easy to use and pretty awesome, so I hope you'll take a look. SPLOST 2023. City Council convened a SPLOST 2023 committee of citizens in the spring, and they exceeded our expectations by meeting with citizens from every corner of Peachtree City, meeting with department heads, and creating a SPLOST list of projects that has something in it for everyone in Peachtree City. The SPLOST vote will take place March 21st, and if it passes, SPLOST 2023 will replace the current SPLOST 2017, which is scheduled to expire this summer. So it's an end-to-end SPLOST and not a new penny tax. The total anticipated SPLOST amount over 6 years, these pennies really add up, is $67 million of projects for Peachtree City. Our SPLOST 2023 project manual is published in its entirety on our Peachtree City website. Comprehensive plan update. I told you it was a big year. Every 5 years under state law, we update our comprehensive plan. In 2022, Council convened a citizen committee, a good cross-section of our diverse community, and once again solicited extensive public input. The result is a responsible foundation for land use that will direct growth and development going forward. Our 2022 comprehensive plan is posted in its entirety on our Peachtree City website. Traffic and transportation. This year, we elevated our relationship with the Georgia Department of Transportation to alleviate traffic congestion problems. We met with GDOT representatives early in the year. We also hosted a joint meeting with the Fayette County Transportation Committee. In attendance, we pulled in GDOT engineers, our GDOT state board representative, city and county transportation officials, and our state representatives. At this meeting, we received updates on the upcoming Highway 5474 displaced left turn project that is right around the corner. Several of the smaller fixes we want to see, like a dedicated right turn lane on 74 southbound, turning right onto 54 west, and also changes in signalization will be part of the displaced left turn project that's coming up. Additionally, we're working with GDOT right now to create a dual left out of Huddleston Road onto 54 West to alleviate congestion on Huddleston. And in the next few weeks, Council will decide whether to adopt standard GDOT highway signs on our displaced left turn installation located on Highway 74 northbound and Highway 74 southbound, or to spend extra money on upgraded signage to include decorative, more classic sign pillars, trusses, materials, and lighting. So stay tuned on that decision. It's right around the corner. Our parks and recreation facilities are a great asset to Peachtree City's lifestyles. In August, we held a ribbon-cutting ceremony to open the brand-new all-children's playground for children of all abilities, and the place is packed. It's just wonderful. We're currently replacing the Riley Fields running track. We resurfaced tennis courts at Blue Smoke and at Glenlock Parks. And we added, early in 2022, we opened 6 new pickleball courts at Braylon. Due to popular citizen interest, we included 1 new 12-court pickleball facility with lights in our SPLOST 2023 list. We're planning new bathrooms at Drake Field and a renovation of Battery Way Park. We renewed our emphasis on maintenance at our city tennis center, and this year together we will be discussing the best way to fund new tennis courts to replace the 25-year-old tennis courts, outdated lights, and a broken irrigation system. Redevelopment. In May, City Council voted unanimously to enter into a partnership agreement with the Fayette County Board of Education to construct Stagecoach Road to the new Booth Middle School location and to construct a golf cart path for safe access to the school. The Fayette County Board of Education opened a new Center of Innovation at the former Booth Middle School location right in the heart of our city. The COI brings in Southern Crescent Technical College and Clayton State University, and I couldn't be more excited to have them here. This will mean not only dual enrollment opportunities for high school students, but adult education, and soon partnerships with our industries. Classes started in August, and the grand opening was scheduled for Thursday of last week, so it got rained out. So watch for that grand opening. It'll be very public and very exciting.
I think it's in February.
Is it coming up in February? We'll post that on all of our media. It's very exciting. Throughout 2022, City Council stayed in conversation with Kimco Realty, the owner-developer of the former Kmart location in Braylon Village. So far, we have been unable to attract sports bar, restaurant, or entertainment facilities. However, conversations continue as we work to attract an appropriate venue for that empty space. In fact, our next meeting is next week. Huddleston Road needs sewer, and Wausau is ready to go. We're taking a comprehensive look at the area and talking with property owners to identify what we want the area to be and to plan our next steps. Public safety. In April, Peachtree City promoted our Assistant Chief, Clint Murphy, to the role of Fire Chief. Chief Murphy's been with our department since 1997. And since 2012, he has served as the Assistant Fire Chief of Training and Special Operations. Chief Murphy is vastly qualified, and we're fortunate to have him leading Peachtree City Fire and Rescue. And he's back there hiding behind a couple of people sitting in front of him. Keeping our public safety ranks fully staffed is an ongoing challenge. Peachtree City hosted the Georgia House of Representatives Committee on Public Safety to discuss salaries in September. This gave police chiefs and sheriffs from across the state a chance to come into Peachtree City and share their challenges and suggestions with Georgia legislators. Our own police chief, Janet Moon, really took the spotlight and gave a no-nonsense, factual account, as only Janet Moon can do, of why our officers leave and what needs to be done to keep them. Council recently approved take-home vehicles for our officers and an increase in signing bonuses, in addition to an across-the-board COLA increase of 5% that started in December. Peachtree City is committed, this council is committed to fully staffing and fully funding our police, fire, and EMTs, and will do whatever it takes to maintain staffing levels for these critical services. A few general highlights. In August, of course, we had a devastating fire in our Walmart on Highway 54 West. It called for engagement of not only Peachtree City Fire Department, but Coweta Fire Department, Fayette County Fire Department, and Fayetteville. So we had a 4-alarm going on. Our Peachtree City Police Department investigated began that same evening, and an arrest was made promptly. The city has done as much as we could to assist Walmart in reopening as expeditiously as possible to serve our citizens. And on December 21st, we had a ribbon cutting on the grocery side, which is really, after only 4 months, I think that's really exemplary. They are to be congratulated. It's my understanding that the balance of the store is facing some supply chain issues, but of course, we look forward to Walmart reopening in completion as soon as possible. In 2022, we opened a new at-grade cart path crossing across Highway 74 at Panasonic. In addition to several regional tennis tournaments, our Peachtree City Tennis Center hosted the National PPA Classic Pickleball Tournament that attracted more than 700 pickleball players and a large audience over several days. The event aired live on the Tennis Channel, and it was great exposure for Peachtree City. Tennis Center events bring in between $1.5 million and $2 million in economic development to Peachtree City every year. We had another sellout season at the Fred, and we continued our tradition of family events with night market, sunset sounds, hometown holiday, and of course a long list of festivals and celebrations. On City Council, last month we welcomed our new council member, Mr. Clint Holland, and Clint brings a new and welcome perspective to City Council. Thanks, Mr. Holland. This month, we welcome our new city manager, Bob Curnow. City Council undertook an exhaustive regional search for our new city manager. Bob had been deputy city manager in Coral Springs, Florida, and he brings deep experience in IT, finance, community development, public works, public safety, innovation, and project management. Peachtree City is thrilled to welcome Bob and his family to Peachtree City. We're grateful that he and his family will call Peachtree City home, and we're looking forward to Bob's leadership and expertise. Will you join me in welcoming Bob Curnow? Throughout our entire city manager search process, which took the better part of a year, Council had total peace of mind because we had Justin Strickland as our interim city manager. Justin showed tremendous professionalism and carried our city forward flawlessly. We owe Justin a debt of gratitude, and we're grateful that he will continue as our assistant city manager. I am proud to say that Peachtree City has a governmental staff that is second to none. We excel in technical expertise, customer service, and communication. Everywhere I look, I see decades of experience and advanced degrees, and I'm honored every day to work with this team. If 2022 was a year of filling our ranks and getting our bearings, then 2023 will be a year of actively planning for the future. In 2023, we will develop Unified Development Ordinances called UDOs. This is a tremendous planning department undertaking that will result in a reorganization and update of our city's planning standards across the board. We will also update our recreation master plan, as the last recreation master plan in Peachtree City is dated 2011. Also, in 2023, with a recalibrated council and with Bob's leadership, I anticipate developing a strategic plan for Peachtree City. Dozens of high-caliber cities in Georgia have embraced the process of soliciting citizen input on varying aspects of their city for the purpose of developing a strategic plan. This creates an overarching vision for the city's future 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out. A strategic plan will put the planning back into our planned community. It will help us all identify who we are now and who we wish to be as a city. With a strategic plan in place, then, future decisions about budget, projects, and priorities fall in line with stated mutual goals. And to wrap this up, when I look at Peachtree City, I see generations now of families, more and more young people, new and expanding businesses, boundless educational opportunities, and amenities and quality of life that are second to none. We are so fortunate. I'm proud of the work we've done in 2022, and I know we're poised for robust planning in 2023 and a positive vision for Peachtree City for the next 20 years and beyond. Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We do, Mayor, and prior to the public comment, we do want to advise there's additional seating on this side of the room if anyone would like to find a seat on this side. Thank you. First person signed up to speak is Mr. Evan Hufler.
Speaking here.
Two shoes.
There we go. All right, I am Evan Holford. I live at 130 Gray Court. I spoke here last May pleading to keep Crabapple Lane path open so my disabled daughter, Lily, could get to her job at Kroger. The council voted to keep the path open until December and pledged to extend it if Tyrone showed progress toward an alternate path. In November, certain council members refused to meet with the Tyrone leadership to review the planning and funding progress toward the new path. They instead broke their promise and closed access on December 1st. I shared with you the devastating impact this would have on my family. My wife and I now transport Lily up to 10 times per week. Her shifts are limited to our non-working hours, and we must ask friends to drive her if we go out of town. She's completely isolated at home and stripped of her independence. This unnecessary situation has sent Lily into a spiraling tailspin of depression. And for what? Kedron Hills homeowners expressed safety concerns. After closing the road to cars, county and city studies showed vehicle traffic reduced by 97%, down to 14 golf carts per day. Not a single accident or police incident has been reported, and Kedron Hills residents have publicly stated they now feel safe. As for financial contributions, non-Peachtree City residents pay 16 times more for golf cart tags. Peachtree City will now have to register more than 800 additional golf carts to recoup the lost revenue from the less than 50 golf carts along Far Road now denied access. The absurd idea that thousands of Tyrone golf carts will flood Peachtree City in the near future is simply fear-mongering. So why deny access to Tyrone residents? It doesn't happen on the south side where wealthy Fayetteville neighborhoods flow golf carts into Peachtree City daily. It's crystal clear we're facing the age-old, we don't want your types in our neighborhood. The undertones have been expressed in this very room. The mean-spiritedness of a couple of council members certainly does not represent the will and hospitality of Peachtree City as a whole. Let's just call it for what it is. It's pure discrimination. As neighbors, we implore this council to do the right thing and fix this by allowing Tyrone the proper time to finish their project.
Your time has expired.
Please, just open the gate.
Comment.
Thank you.
Next person signed up to speak
Thank you. Thank you.
is Mr. Stephen Newton.
Mayor, members of the City Council, you've received several of my letters already. I'm not going to rehash them. I just want to point out, and you can check my math on this, $67.4 million of the $210 million in SPLOS funds is about 32%. So the city is willing to take SPLOS funds from the county that other people, such as my clients, the Tyrone residents to build out projects in Peachtree City, including the widening of the bridge at Lake Peachtree, which I believe is a splost event, but it won't open up a gate so that, and who's too humble to tell you who he really is. Mr. Holfer is a 34-year veteran of the United States Army. His wife, Holly, has been teaching in the Fayette County schools for 20-plus years. She teaches at Braylon right now. She was nominated 5 times for Teacher of the Year in Fayette County. This isolationism is ridiculous. I, as a Peachtree City resident and a business owner in Peachtree City, would love for the council to accept Fayette County's transportation plan that links Sonoya to the path system in Peachtree City. I would like to take my golf cart down to Sonoya. I would like to take my golf cart to Trilith, which is what the Fayette County transportation plan calls for. So, if you want to be bad neighbors, let's just call it what it is. Tyrone residents, Sonoya residents, Fayetteville residents, we don't want you, there's a thread, we don't want you coming to our businesses, we don't want you coming on our paths, and leave us alone. That's what you should be saying to these people. If not, by blocking that path, you're creating the traffic congestion that you abhor, that other people complain to you about. So open up the path system and let these 14 golf carts and this
Your
lady
time has expired.
who serves
Thank you
the
for your
community at
comment.
Kroger at Kedron to serve the Peachtree City residents. Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
person,
Thank you.
next person signed up to speak is Suzanne Brown.
Susan Brown, and I live in Crescent Oak. I took a holiday tour of the Georgia governor's mansion and learned he can have fresh eggs for breakfast every day because there's a chicken coop in the backyard of the governor's mansion. So I'm here to ask, to peck or not to peck? That is the question. Counties and municipalities across the country allow backyard hens. All 5 boroughs of New York City allow an unlimited number of hens and rabbits, and no permit is required. They have never banned or limited them. The city only gets involved if a neighbor complains. That works for me. With supply chain issues, inflation, avian flu, and high rates of unexplained fires at major egg-producing farms, availability of eggs is declining and the price has more than doubled in the last 18 months, with no long-lasting relief in sight. Peachtree City should establish an ordinance that permits chickens. You have the chance to answer the other big question: what came first, the chicken or the egg? The short answer is that the chicken needs to be in the backyard before the egg can be in the frying pan. Chickens make great pets. They eat lots of bugs, kitchen scraps, and garden debris that would otherwise need to be composted or disposed of in the garbage. I'll be sending all of you my recommendations for the ordinance. The ordinance would not affect HOAs or neighborhoods with covenants that specifically prohibit hens. And coops large enough to be classified as an accessory structure would still need to comply with all of the ordinances and placement on the property. It's time to allow more chickens in Peachtree City. I need to keep abreast with the governor. I'd like to share something. A friend of mine just gave me something, and she's probably sitting at home watching this, and it says, "I speak my mind because it hurts to bite my tongue."
All right.
Next
Thank
person
you.
signed up to speak is Jason Pohl.
Jason Pohl, Planterra Ridge. I just have 2 basic things to cover tonight. Number 1 being the at-grade crossing on Kelly Drive between Dividend and 74. Around 5 p.m. there seems to be trains that get stuck there real often. So a couple minutes, 10 minutes even is fine by me, but I've seen 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes there. And when we're picking up our daughter on the golf cart from daycare, that just turns into an issue because I don't want to have to drive on Dividend with all those trucks on the golf cart. Second one being, I would like the city council to consider and mimic other cities in the state that have moved to decriminalize 1 ounce of cannabis or marijuana for personal use. I'm a veteran. I have multiple battle buddies that have already killed themselves since we've returned from Afghanistan. And there's demonstrated medical benefits to it. And there's no reason, and if there's any statistics to, prevent that from happening, I would like that to come out and have you guys review it and consider it. It's going to happen with federal legalization. I think the city council here can lead and start with personal use decriminalization and find other ways to attract businesses that will help us fill out these commercial and the name escapes me, but commercial use areas that are not getting filled out, example, the one at Braylon there. So those are the two topics that I have, and I'm sure you guys will hear from me more. But last thing, I just want to say I'm grateful for the work that you all do. I get a general sense of negative energy around your performance as a city councilor, as a mayor. My read of the situation is you guys are doing a pretty dang good job, and I really appreciate that, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The final person signed up to speak is Keith Larson.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm Keith Larson. I live in Plantier Place, and I am the Fayette County Bicycle Pedestrian Community Advocate. While we take great pride in our street and pass system, Peachtree City has a speeding problem on both neighborhood streets and the multi-use pass system. The city has traditionally taken a passive approach that requires city residents to raise their concerns about speeding traffic on a case-by-case basis. Reaction to city actions not taken and resident judge failed outcomes for Kedron Hills, the pass system, and tonight's Plantier Ridge action demonstrate the city needs to change how it conducts traffic safety and implements uniform neighborhood speed control measures with broad public input. The last city manager didn't want city resident input and told me that directly. Case in point, you cannot find the recommendation brief made by the council-appointed multi-use path system citizen advisory group at the December 2nd, 2021 city council meeting on the city website. That is the wrong approach. It must change to a proactive method and best practice recommended by the Federal Highway Administration for routine resident discussions and reviews to make safe streets, roads, and paths for all. City Council and City Manager, please immediately direct the city staff to revise City Policy 10-1, traffic calming, to restore public transparency and trust by using a best practices speed management approach for both streets and the path system that establishes a standing appointed citizen advisory group and open public meetings. This cannot be a one and done effort if we want to continue to be a great place to walk, bike, run, drive our carts, and drive our cars. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda changes, council? No? All right, minutes, December 15th, 2022, regular meeting minutes, December 15th, 2022, executive session minutes.
Mayor, I'd move that we approve the December 15th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, as well as the December 15th, 2022 executive session minutes.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Quarterly reports,
No questions.
questions, concerns?
No.
The quarterly reports are a great update from all of our departments, so if you have any interest whatsoever, please go to our website and check them out. Consent agenda, and yes, I need to read this into the record. Number 1, Resolution 0119-2023 CA1, call for election and setting of qualifying fees. Number 2, legal organ, Fayette County News. Number 3, fiscal year 2023 budget amendment, Lake Peachtree HOA donation for Lake Peachtree fish restock. Number 4, fiscal year 2023 budget amendment, insurance reimbursement, lightning damage. Number 5, acceptance of the GMC proposal for professional services for the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO. And 6, proposal to change GIS technician position to a second GIS analyst position.
Madam Mayor, I have a two-part motion I'd like to make. One, I'd like to move number 5 to staff topics. We can take it out of consent. And then number 2, I'd like to go ahead and recommend approval of 2, 3, and 4, and 6, as read by you.
3, 4, and 6. First, let's do first things first. Your first motion is that you wish to take consent agenda item number 5 out of consent. Is that true?
Correct. I'm recommending number 5.
Do I have a second?
Mayor, it could be two parts of one motion.
Pardon me?
It could be two parts of one motion.
All right, thank you. You go ahead with your second part, just to reiterate.
Second part is I recommend approval of 2, 3, 4, and 6,
What about 1
and 1.
and 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6?
Yes.
All right.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to just make a comment on number 1.
No, we have a motion on the floor. Do
Okay.
I have a second?
We need a second.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll take number 5 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 are approved. Number 5, we will vote on separately. Acceptance of the GMC proposal for professional services for the UDO. Can I get a motion?
No, that was moved to. Correct,
That's moved to council staff topics.
correct.
All right, done.
You can bring up your comment if you like.
Sorry about that.
Can
I didn't see that coming. I want to make a mention that what we just approved, among other things, is the Lake Peachtree Homeowners Association donated $2,000 to match a certain amount of money the city had so that they can make sure that we put sterile carp into Lake Peachtree and keep down the hydrilla weed. So it's for the betterment of all of us that HOA made that contribution. I want to thank them. Mr. Holland?
Okay, yes, I'd like to just make a comment on number 1. I wanted to make sure that the citizens know that I brought up the topic, that cities across the state of Georgia have been trying to unhook from their county board of elections and help to save taxpayers some money by doing it themselves instead of letting the counties do it. And I'd like to see Peachtree City investigate this topic fully to see if there's any merit to it, that we should be looking at having the elections done by our city and not by the county. That will be taxpayer savings, well, hopefully, if it turns up with the investigation, there'll be taxpayer savings for everybody. I'd like to make that comment.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay?
And that was, Madam Mayor, can I make a comment?
Certainly.
And that was discussed with with the attorney, and he said that we can look at that later on. We can make a change if we need to.
Thank you. Old agenda items, 112203, variance, transitional yard buffer, 100 McWilliams Drive.
Good evening, as we wait for this to come up, great. This item was tabled at your last meeting, so I'll just do a quick refresher of what it is, and then allow the applicant to come up and update us as the status of it. The property is an existing lot of record at the corner of McWilliams Drive and Highway 74 North. It's shown here outlined in yellow, and it is zoned OI for office use. The proposal is for a 5,000, it's now been reduced, it was for 7,500, but now a 5,000 square foot medical office building, shown here to get you oriented. There we go. There's 74, there's McWilliams. The orange is the building itself with a parking lot around it. They're asking to encroach into the 75-foot yard transitional setback. This is a setback or an undisturbed buffer that's required between any residential zoning and non-residential zoning district. As you can see on this diagram, that undisturbed buffer would, on this property, lie at that turquoise line. They're asking to encroach into that by 30 feet. A typical zoning lot in the office district would have a 10-foot, or would actually have a standard setback within, and allowed, that would allow parking within 10 feet of the property line, excuse me. Since our last meeting, the applicant has met with the resident, several residents of that subdivision in which it abuts, and we have received a letter of support from that subdivision, and I will turn it over to the applicant to further give us some more details.
This was one that was tabled with Phil Prebor's recommendation.
Yeah.
It was a good idea, Phil.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
Mayor and Council, thank you. Good evening. Jefferson Brown had the honor and the privilege of hosting a community design meeting at our office on December 17th, where we invited the community residents, Tom Patterson, community leader, Dr. Khan, proposed project owner, civil engineer, integrated science principal, Jason Walls, and contractor developer and applicant, Tommy Webb. As a result of that meeting, we had the site plan that we presented today as a result of that meeting. And our team is ready to answer any questions that you have.
The conditions that staff recommended at the initial report are still being recommended. It would be that there would be additional evergreen landscaping within that buffer to ensure an evergreen visual buffer year-round from the residents. That there would be site lighting limitations to a maximum of 3 feet high so that they don't end up having those tall light poles in their backyard. That there remain a 75-foot wide public access easement for future cart path access in the area, and that they provide interparcel access to the south.
Council?
One comment, Jefferson, everybody's in it. When I
Catch that microphone, please.
excuse me, my
Thank
voice
you.
is low. When Phil recommended be tabled, that was because of the concerns that were voiced to me by the residents. And you've got that, everybody's concurrence now, that they all agree with what we're doing?
Yes, we had a tremendous meeting, and Tom was here. There he is, he's in the back. Maybe you could ask him, but I believe that we had a very good meeting.
I agree with you, as long as you tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
we listened and coordinated and made adjustments. It was a good time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Council?
I just want to comment, thanks for doing that. For me, anytime we look at a variance, I always want to know how the people that are most affected by it. And so
Agreed.
you've crossed that bridge. I appreciate you taking the time and effort to do that.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
No questions.
Yeah, I just have one comment. Being new here, I was at the meeting that you presented this, and I always look at variances with, why do you want it? Is it a real need or a want? And I'm comfortable with what you've done and the changes you've made and the things that you've said that you're going to be doing with everything from lighting to landscaping, et cetera, and the setbacks. I appreciate that. It makes our decision a lot better. Appreciate that work.
All right. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion, Madam Mayor, for old agenda item 11-2203, the variance for transition yard buffer at 100 McWilliams Drive. Recommend approval.
You're gonna include the conditions?
Correct.
All the conditions that were identified by the Director for Planning and Zoning.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
New agenda item 12301, Resolution 0119-2023 NA1 Kelly Drive Road Abandonment and Disposal. Mr.
Mayor and
Meeker.
Council, I'll take this item. As outlined in my memo to you, this matter's been discussed now for the better part of probably 18 months. Discussion started back with John Rory and some of the residents from Plantera. Sorry. Is that any better? Yes. Okay. Discussion started between the residents of Plantera and John Rory about this possibility of selling a portion of Kelly Green so that a gate could be installed. There was a review
when Bernie McMullen was the interim city manager last year about some of the traffic and other issues in the area. We've, of course, had information provided by residents and public comment and otherwise at meetings discussing some of the concerns they had from a safety standpoint. With that in mind, we did initiate the process of a potential road abandonment, or at least a portion of the road being abandoned. Notice was given to the adjoining property owners, which of course the golf course and the Planterra HOA. Along with that was a 30-day option under the statute in which they could attempt to acquire it. The golf course declined any interest in purchasing the property. They had no issues with the proposed abandonment based on the email communications we had. Planterra Ridge did, in fact, the HOA did exercise the option. A purchase price as outlined in the memo was at least agreed to from a staff level, subject to council approval. So before you tonight is a resolution to make all that happen. The city will be abandoning a portion of Kelly Green. That will then, according to the resolution, be transferred to the HOA, at which point they can put up the gate. There is a savings clause in the resolution where the city is going to retain easement rights for the cart paths that are within the right-of-way that's being abandoned, along with any necessary utilities that are located underground in that area, so as to protect those easement rights of the various utility companies. And I'm here for any questions you might have.
Council?
Just comment? Comment?
Yes.
Well, I'm really concerned about the Peachtree City citizens, and they won't have access to this portion of the, going through Planterra Ridge. That's unfortunate, but I think the citizens need to realize that they're the cause of the problem. We can document very clearly that we've had 60 and 80 miles an hour going through Planterra Ridge, and that's very unsafe for the kids. We all know that. We've heard from the children. We've heard from the parents. So I think it's the citizens that are causing the problem, and it's unfortunate that we have to go to these means where we're blocking off this road to our citizens, but they're the ones that are causing the problems. So I concur with this. It's a good idea.
Anybody else?
Madam Mayor, I'd concur also for the very simple reason that for 18 months I've heard various comments from kids out here and their parents for their inability to play in their front yard.
Yep.
And granted, I agree with my friend on the end there, he's talking about citizens, but what we're talking about is cut-through traffic whose folks are getting off work at 4 o'clock, which is the time that gate will go shut, until around 5:30, which eliminates that cut-through traffic of folks that we have a goodly number of folks working along Dividend Drive and Huddleston who use Kelly Drive as a shortcut to go home. And I don't blame them because, you know, they've been working all day. They want to get out of there. But by the same token, I can't put children's lives at risk. And it's taken 18 months, and I apologize for the length of time, but government does work slowly, but we're getting it done. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Comments, Clint?
Yes, I do. You want me to go first? You know, being again new here, I appreciate, I've listened to, same as my colleague, Councilman King, I've listened to the people here. The people say that there's a problem there, that children are potentially going to get hurt. Not only that, the cut-throughs and the speeds and all of that. It's not good for our citizens. I do have a couple of questions in addition to comments that I'll continue in just a moment. Maybe we can answer those. If there's a problem with the ownership of this and that the homeowners association who does own it goes belly up or out of business at Planterra, does it revert back to us? And I think the council here has given me a few words, and maybe you want to just put that on the record.
Sure, we do not have a reversion in this, but that is like any other public right-of-way. If we had to reacquire it, we can.
Okay. Second question I have is the maintenance on that. And I think you mentioned that there would be maintenance required by the Planterra Homeowners Association. If it doesn't meet our specifications for maintenance by our own city employees, do we have any kind of something that we can do about that?
That portion is going to be a private portion of a road, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
So in that regard, no, that would be an issue that the HOA would have to take up amongst themselves.
Okay. And lastly, I do concur with this motion.
Okay, Phil.
Yeah, so you touched in your State of the City address that Huddleston Road, the city's working on making 2 lanes going west, which will certainly help for that traffic, that cut-through traffic that can no longer cut through Planterra. Now they'll be able to get to Coweta, where most of them are going. They'll be able to get there faster once that is approved by GDOT. So that's in motion too. So, I mean, I concur with this motion.
All right. And as a
It's
final
agenda
thought,
item.
yes, are you done? As a final thought, this is not an easy problem to solve. These are not easy conversations, and what I'm about to say is not easy. Your children are beautiful. I've enjoyed hearing from them. I believe that I have a responsibility to take care of the city as a whole. I am very concerned that this agreement is permanent and spells out no stipulations as to what happens next. We don't know what will happen next. It would then be up to the homeowners association. Operate a gate, put up a wall, put up a fortress during certain days, certain times, certain hours, one direction, 2 direction. We have no way of knowing. This is sale of a portion of a road to homeowners association, period. And homeowners, in my opinion, homeowners association families, neighborhood families have, well, families and day jobs. And I think the undertaking of an operational gate and all the, I don't know what, buzzers, clickers, scanners to let only certain residents through at only certain times is actually a bigger undertaking than most of us realize. Again, I feel that I have to look out for the city as a whole, and there are so many unknowns that I do not support this, and that is a very difficult thing for me to say because I recognize the problem. With that, I'll take a motion.
Mayor, I'd move that we approve the new agenda item 12301, the resolution number 01192023 NA1, the Kelly Road abandonment and disposal.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Public hearing. Public hearing. 12303, rezoning for 949, 951, 975, 976, 986, 1000, and 1001 Crosstown Drive, and 555 to 575 Highway 74 South from GI and LI Industrial to GC General Commercial. Robin?
Prior to the start of the public hearing, I will read in the protocol. When the public hearing is opened, members of council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. 1. First, city staff will present the request and provide an assessment of compliance with city code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. 2, the mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. The mayor will then recognize the opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of either or both sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended, and council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. There are 7 properties at the intersection, or near the intersection, of Crosstown Road and 74 that the standard passerby may be surprised to learn are actually zoned industrial. These properties are the McDonald's, the Wendy's, there's a hotel, there's a auto repair, and 2 gas stations in the area. And they are typically found, those uses are typically found in the commercial zoning district, but historically, this property has been, remains zoned industrial. Staff approached City Council and city leadership late last year, towards late summer last year, with a concern that redevelopment in this corridor may not match the existing character of the corridor, particularly because industrial zoning districts do not have a height limitation. So when approached with this, council initiated the rezoning. It was heard by the Planning Commission at their November 12th meeting. Here's some highlights as to why staff is recommending the rezoning of these parcels to the actual zoning district that matches their existing use on the ground. None of those uses, which by the way are industrial. These uses now, because they are commercial, are considered grandfathered, means that they cannot expand, means that they're limited to the amount of money that they can invest in their property. And if they discontinue one of their uses for a year, they cannot reopen it as a commercial use. So removing or rezoning these 2 commercial uses would remove those limitations on them, and they would be able to operate and continue to operate in the manner of which they operate today. The future land use for these is commercial. There is one parcel across the intersection that has got a future land use of industrial, but it is in the Braylon Village center, and so commercial is appropriate within a village center. And as I mentioned, there are no proposed land use changes that would occur as for this rezoning. As I mentioned, and I think I mistakenly said November 12th, and it was December 12th is when the Planning Commission held their workshop, in which they gave unanimous support for this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. So we don't have any other presentations at this time. I'll open the public hearing. Can I see a show of hands, a number of people who would like to speak in favor? Okay, can I see a show of hands, number of people who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, the floor is yours. Mr. Larson, you have no more than 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor. My name's Keith Larson. I live very close to this location, and I can travel and do travel to these commercial activities by path as well as by car. This is a no-brainer. This problem is one that, as a community, we inherited from decisions, good or bad, many years ago. But now we have an opportunity to not only put us on the right path for the future for these business owners, as well as ensure the well-being of our Braylon Village Center. So I speak in favor of this zoning action, which will allow the business owners to reinvest as much as they can and much as they're willing to within the commercial limits of that zoning property, instead of the limitations of less than 50% of the depreciated value, which we'll just see this go into a wasteland. And I don't see that anybody in Peachtree City wants to see commercial properties deteriorate and look bad. And then the business owners go out and it's vacant and it doesn't provide services that we need. I can remember moving to Peachtree City, and before we closed on our house, we stayed in the old days in there. So it was a convenient hotel. And now it's been revitalized, but only to a limited degree, could be much more, could be much better. So we should look to the better. As it is, the old car wash there has not been used in over a year. So now what can it be done? What can be done there? What can a commercial owner, possible future buyer, do? Their hands are tied. I think we should untie their hands by establishing a common zoning that fits the commercial center of our village center so that our businesses can prosper and we, the residents of Peachtree City and that neighborhood, can benefit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in favor? All right. Anybody wish to speak in opposition? Please take the microphone.
Suzanne Brown, I live in Crescent Oak. 2 prior presentations of this issue have been made. The Planning Commission public hearing was on December the 12th, and information was presented to council on December 15th. I attended both. Tonight is a public hearing. Just before Christmas, I submitted open records requests for correspondence between the city and all the properties in the rezoning. I received copies of recent building permits and correspondence for the motel and older irrelevant correspondence for the car wash property. Nothing regarding the other 5 properties. So is this just cleaning up the zoning? Maybe not. The motel was purchased on August 9th, 2022. 4 building permits to renovate were approved between October 3rd and November 3rd, totaling $1,170,000. In both presentations, we were told that the cap for renovations for the motel was 50% of the depreciated value, making it about $900,000. But by November the 3rd, the approved permits exceeded the cap by $270,000. In the next 9 days, they posted signs announcing the rezoning and dates of the public hearings. Nothing was mentioned about the approved permits exceeding the cap in either the City Council information session or the Peachtree City Planning Commission public hearing. Did they tell the acting city manager? Did they tell the people in charge of the Motel LLC? City staff should have gone to the All Movie Motel LLC and explained the issue and instructed them to apply for rezoning to general commercial, which would then allow them to complete the renovations without a cap. Before posting signs, they should have brought the issue to council in a workshop and asked for guidance from council and the city attorney if they should rezone just the motel property or all the properties. Now, if that question had been posed to council, never was it mentioned before tonight. Instead, they seem to blindside the council. I'll never get openness, honesty, and transparency from you, my city council, if you are not getting it from your city staff. You may want to reflect on what they told you and when. Why did they do this unilaterally? And while I don't support the zoning change because of the lack of openness, honesty, and transparency, I do see the benefit to the to the motel and owners of the car wash. I'm pretty sure you're going to approve it, and I do understand why. I just hope that you work out the issues of openness, honesty, and transparency so that every Peachtree City citizen can look favorably on both the council and our city staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who wishes to speak in opposition? I hereby close the public hearing. Council?
I have some comments.
Sure.
I do too.
I'm not really opposed to this. Robin, can you step up? Can you step up to there? I've spoken to the city manager. I've had a meeting with you and the city manager, and I've asked to know that why there was such a disparity between what you told us in terms of the cost of the permits and the information that had been received was more than that. Could you explain that to us publicly?
There is a duplication that occurs on our online website. And so you can enter information in manually when you enter a permit, and then you also upload a PDF in which you've handwritten information. And the information that was entered in manually was different than what was on the paper. And so I only looked at the information in the system, the manually entered information, when I wrote that first memo. When it came to light that there were differences in numbers, that's when I opened up the PDF and saw the different numbers. Now, the people who review these permits, the building permit folks, the plan reviewers, they look at that PDF.
So it was our system that was the fault? Or-
It's a duplication of efforts, and so it could have been a typo. It could have been an error made. Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I'll accept that. I don't disagree with this. I've always wondered why we have to do all of them. You know, I like the fact that we want to stop the car wash and stop some industrial facility going there. I don't disagree with what we want to do. I've talked to you before about why do we have to do them all? Why can't we do them piecemeal? Pick out the ones we want to do now. And our new city manager has talked to me about that. He thinks it's better to do them all together. I just think it causes a lot of consternation between the cities, between the citizens. I would like to see us, you know, pick and choose, like do the car wash, get that done, maybe do the hotel, and then work on the other two. You've always told me before that, you know, there's nothing that says we can't do that, but it's just more labor intensive on the staff. I understand that, Bob, but I just think that would be a better approach than just doing them all at the same time. So I would like to see us possibly consider doing them one or two at a time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sure.
I do. I have a couple of questions. First of all, let me just state that I really don't have a problem with the changeover to general commercial on these properties. Generally, I think that's the right thing to do in those 7 properties. What I really am concerned about is similar to what Councilman DiStadio said, is the data. And I know that the data was flawed. We got flawed data. And so I have a bunch of questions. Was the rezoning asked for by the current owners once they knew the limit of their construction value was reached?
No.
And did you suggest, or did someone from staff or the city suggest that they put in a zoning change once that level was going to reach, knowing the fact that they were going to be spending more money on this property to bring it up to snuff?
No.
So no one suggested that they put a rezoning specifically for that motel. Was the idea ever floated to anyone at the ownership that they should be putting in a rezoning request?
No, sir. No.
Okay? Why didn't you, I think you answered this one from Councilman DiStadio. The data was incorrect due to the bookkeeping or the paperwork that you had. One said one number and one said another. That would have been nice if we had had that correct data from the beginning. We wouldn't be going through all these machinations right now. And basically, other than just these few questions, I'm generally accepting of redoing the zoning on that to general commercial, and I'm in favor of that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. First off, I don't believe the sky is falling. I think the rezoning of these 7 units is overdue. I've lived here for 35 years. Ever since I can remember, it's always been commercial there. I certainly don't want a 5-story storage facility or something sitting there on that lot.
Agreed.
It is not where it needs to be. Everything else there is commercial, and we have entered into a process over the last couple of years to look at our ordinances or whatever and come up with things that make things right. And in this case, I agree with Robin and the city manager, is that picking them one at a time, to me, is a waste of effort. Let's do it now, do them all, and be done with it.
Mr. Preborn.
Yeah, so one of the things you brought up last time, and I appreciate knowing that, is that it's, McDonald's couldn't expand and improve their property because of that depreciated value, 50% of it. They're all used as commercial now. Somebody has a building, they're just gonna let it go into ruin. So I have to ask ourselves, and this is not something to address tonight, but in the future, why do we have, if a guy wants to spend $5 million on his building, why do we have an ordinance that says, hey, let's not do that? Now, I guess I think I remember you telling me that was because, okay, it was zoned industrial. This is obviously used as commercial as it is. So anyway, I'd like for us to someday not today, revisit that 50% of depreciated value only to be able to improve it. Because, again, what's somebody gonna do? They're gonna let their building go into disrepair, and that is the last thing we want. So anyways, I'm all in favor of this. As one of our citizens said, this is a no-brainer.
Thank you. As a final thought, Bob, can you confirm we have 6 permits on the property and on the hotel property, and these are combined, still under the 50% replacement cost less depreciation?
Yeah, that's correct, Mayor. So we did some additional research, and we actually have the tax assessor from Fayette County's information in front of me based on the price of the building. The 100% value of the building is sitting at $2.6 million. 50% of that would be $1.3 million, and the current permits are at $1.1 million. In addition to that, I did have our building official go out today and do some inspections to confirm that we are at, that the contractor doing the work there is meeting the $1.1 million. So what we have issued as far as building permits are concerned, that's the work that has been done.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd move that we approve the public hearing of 12303, the rezoning for 949, 951, 975, 976, 986, 1000, and 1001 Crosstown Drive, and 555, 575 Highway 74 South from GI and LI Industrial to GC Commercial.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Council staff topics, updated branding initiatives, the Fred Amphitheater.
Mayor, we have a presentation coming up for this.
Thank you. Very excited.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Valenti. I am with Premier Events, and we are part of the management team for the Fred. And wanted to say thank you so much for the time tonight to talk to you about what's happening at the Fred this season. We have had a great working relationship with the city, and the management team at the city and the whole staff has been really supportive of our efforts over the years to really bring amazing entertainment and concerts to the Fred. I'm going to give a very brief recap on highlighting some of the various venue improvements and successes of the Fred over the years. And I've got a quick presentation with some beautiful photos that'll help you enjoy what's been happening out at the venue. So in 2018, excuse me, oh, that looks weird. I don't know. It didn't show up right. Is that the PowerPoint? Sorry, something's going on with the formatting on it. But in 2018, the city awarded the management contract of the Fred to PTR, which is a joint venture of 3 companies. RCS Productions, which we've got 2 representatives from, does all the talent booking and does all the production and all the artist management. So if you don't like the talent, or if you don't think it sounds great, it's their fault. This is Stephen Moore, who is the company owner, and Todd Elmore, who is the general manager of RCS. And he also does a lot of the booking for the Fred. The second company that is involved in the management company is Fresh Tix, does all the ticketing, and Premier Events, my company, does marketing, sponsorship, and concessions. Carol Kelly, who couldn't be here tonight, is an integral part of the venue too. She is our general manager and handles all the day-to-day and show operations and guides the entire team and all the various vendors into success for our shows at the Fred. In 2018, the venue got a new roof. That's the stage house and the concourse building, along with a new paint. We redid the awnings. All the signage was upgraded and replaced, and then we expanded the gate and entry area to allow for better ingress and egress. In 2019, we replaced all the seats in the reserved seating area, so those got upgraded and greatly enhanced the customer experience at the Fred. And then in 2020, COVID happened. We had just gone on sale with shows, and of course, everything got closed down, and we were all at home going, what's going to go on? We canceled all the shows, refunded tickets, and tried to hold on to the talent and rebook them for later dates. But it was a sad year because the Fred was dark that year. 2021, the world was still going through the COVID stuff, and we were able to be cleared to do a season of socially distanced concerts. And mid-season, we were able to open up and go to full capacity on those shows. So that year was all tribute and smaller bands because of the social distance. In that year, we replaced the picnic table area with the new plaza area with upgraded tables and seating, and then did some upgrades to the restroom area. So that was helpful and good. And then that brought us to last year. Our big addition last year was the addition of the pub tables, which are in the main concourse. Those are ticketed tables, and they have become highly coveted because they are quick, easy access, and they provide the best bird's eye view of the stage that is just amazing. So the other improvement that we made in 2022 was revamping the golf cart path for our Fred courtesy shuttle that brings people from the parking area down to the general gate area or the lower level if they have tables. And our successes this past year, we did 14 shows, 8 were sellouts. We had 26 sponsors, most of whom are already back for this upcoming year. So everybody stayed happy on that side. We formed a new partnership with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, who did an amazing show. And we also added an improv comedy show. For 2023, more concert pictures. It was a fun season. For 2023, we are happy to announce that we've already done a renovated lawn area. We leveled out the tiers, added new sod, new stairs, and have greatly enhanced that area. We just announced this on the Fred social media a couple weeks back and got rave reviews for finally tackling the lawn area. So I know we've made a lot of people happy with that. And then we've got a couple other projects in the works. Don't want to talk about those tonight. We'll announce those at a future date as they come to fruition. And the other last thing that we're here to talk about is that we are about to roll out a new branding package for the Fred for the 2023 season. This is something that's been in the works for quite a while. We wanted to take our time and get it right, so we've spent a couple of years thinking about it and researching and talking about what other venues do and how their look is and what we wanted reflected in a new Fred branding package. We wanted something that had a fresh look, a clean and contemporary design, something that had real impact when you saw it, and something that gave kind of a hat tip to the fact that the venue is in this beautiful, natural, rustic setting, which is unlike a lot of other venues of its size. We accepted 5 bids. 4 of those were from the Peachtree City or county area, and 1 was from the Atlanta market. And ultimately, we went with a company called Country Fried Creative. And I've got Joe Domowski. You want to say a couple words?
Hello, everybody. You know, this is a fun part of tonight's proceedings, and I do have to applaud you, Mayor and City Council. You know, it's like Laura asked me, you know, would you like to come tonight? And I'm like, oh, and we're not at the front of the agenda. And I was like, oh, man. But this is really exciting for us. I own Country Fried Creative. We are headquartered here in Peachtree City, across the street. When you choose local, it means so much to us. So much business is farmed out, but when you can farm it in town, it's so exciting. We employ 15 people. They're all local people. We try to create jobs. And when Laura contacted us, we were just ecstatic to be part of this project. How many of you knew Fred Brown?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, me too. It's truly an honor. I was a chamber ambassador with Fred. You know, Fred's tall, I am not. Learned so much from him. And so as somebody who knew him and somebody who goes to concerts there, I love the Fred. I loved Fred, and so to be able to do the branding package with Premier Events was truly an honor. So as Laura said, we looked at a lot of different concepts. We wanted to honor the traditions. but we felt like the venue needed something fresh in Peachtree City. And what an incredible venue. So do you want to click the button? Here we
Let's see
go.
it. Let's see it. Awesome.
So we're really excited about this. The colors, the fonts, you look at it and you know you're at an amphitheater. That's what we had. Just kind of a dark, and I hope whoever did that isn't in this room. But what a nice, vibrant logo. So anyway, thank you again for the opportunity to partner with you guys and to be able to make a contribution to the city that our business is located in.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very excited.
Appreciate that.
I have one other thing, because I know it's on, I've got one other thing, because I know it's on everybody's mind, which is who's playing the Fred. And I'm happy to announce, we'll be announcing that on February 20th. So stay tuned.
Laura.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you, Joe.
Laura, one last comment.
Stephen, good to see you again.
Can I make a comment, Laura? God bless you for trying to keep Phil Castagna rounded up and in place. That's got to be a full-time job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks very much. Council staff topics, we now have number 5 from the consent agenda, acceptance of the GMC proposal. Do we have
I was not aware that it was going to be pulled from
Sure,
the agenda.
sure, it's on
So I don't
consent
have
agenda.
a presentation, but just some background information is that we have budgeted the UDO since 2020, and it was postponed due to COVID, and then staff got underwater with the comprehensive plan, and so we really got started soliciting for bids for this back in October when that had all cleared. And we ended up getting 2 bids that we thought were from firms that were competent firms, had done business locally, had done UDOs locally. We selected GMC not only because they were the lowest bidder, but also because they have done work on a UDO in a community similar to ours with a highly educated, highly informed, highly participatory community who is very interested in preserving the quality of life for Peachtree City. They did the UDO for Jekyll Island. And so we're excited to hopefully have them begin this process with us if the contract is accepted.
All right. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, can I make the comments?
Yes.
Let me make a comment first,
Sure.
Frank. Just only because so the public knows exactly, in a nutshell, what are we doing here? I mean, a lot of
okay.
people might not realize. I know
Okay.
we've
That's
been
good.
working on it for years, but
And I know,
Thank you.
I'm so used to this, I apologize. So we
just
have
so everybody knows what we're talking about.
multiple ordinances, multiple chapters in our code of ordinances that any property owner, any developer, and city staff are expected to know. There's no, I mean, at one point, there was rhyme or reason. In fact, our ordinances were adopted, the first ones were adopted in 1977. And then we did another complete overhaul in 1985. We have not.
85.
1985. So what is that? Math major, I am not. The 7 or 8
37
years after the first one, we decided that enough had changed between 1985 and 1977 to redo our entire ordinances. However, we have not redone our ordinances since 1985. We have done them and that doesn't mean that we haven't touched them. It just means that we have done them in a piecemeal fashion. And these are hundreds of pages long. So you can imagine opening up a document and trying to focus on one topic area, not knowing that this topic is also discussed in this chapter and over remotely in this section. And so you get in there and you redo it and it looks great, but now you've created potential conflicts or an actual conflicts in our ordinances. And so what a UDO does is it takes all of that, all of those puzzle pieces that have been thrown on the table, and pulls them all together into a cohesive document that any person, it's still, I'm not gonna lie, it's still gonna be long. I mean, and there's still gonna be a lot of legalese in it. But there's also gonna be more graphics, and it's gonna be organized in it from almost like a start to finish type of thought process. So you know from the very beginning of your project, you start at the beginning of the chapter, not at the end or in the middle. And you can proceed through that process and through that document in a very logical manner. This is a tool that is used in many communities, many different communities, far different from us or very similar to us. It is a tool that can be tailored to that community. And so it is not an overhaul. We are not looking at adding any new districts or changing the zoning of anything. This will not include any rezoning on the map. It is just touching and organizing those ordinances. I get a little long-winded. I love what I do.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I have comments. When we talked about it before, I'm in favor of the UDO, don't misunderstand me. But when we talked about it before, you know, it seemed to me that we were consolidating, getting them all together, but we weren't making changes. What I mean by that is that, you know, I know that we have an overlay district up there in the avenue, and those paints that we have there are outdated. They don't make them anymore. We have Lexington Circle that I think we pretty much run out of what we need to do there. Wilkshire Village, they're all built out with that new gas station. It seems to me that we ought to be not just consolidating them and doing what you're doing, but we ought to be then turning around and adding to this contract to do away with those old standards. To update the existing overlay district, but do away with Wilkshire. We don't need it. Do away with Lexington Village. We don't need it. And have a standard for the city plus the overlay district. So I'd like to see us go beyond what you're doing and budget for more funds to then consolidate and have one standard for the city and a standard for the overlay district.
I understand. That is certainly something that we can consider and do during the process. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion. Oh, I don't have.
No motion? We don't get to vote
Council staff topics, I think you can adopt it at the next meeting is the way to go.
at the next meeting.
Do we need to?
Thank you, Robin.
Table it or not? All right.
Just appear on the next agenda.
All right.
All right. Executive session?
Yes, pending or threatened litigation and real estate.
Madam Mayor, I move that we adjourn to executive session for threatened
Second.
and pending litigation and real estate.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are in executive session.